Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be reading from the book of Ephesians. We're going to start in chapter 1, and we'll just start at verse 3. It says, "Blessed be the Elohim and Father of Yahuah HaMashiach, who has blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Mashiach, according as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be," and your English translation would say holy, but the word actually better translated would be set apart, and without blame before him in love. In other words, Yahuah chose us in him before the foundation of the world, and that we should be set apart without blame. In other words, without guilt, without sin, that we would be before him. And the purpose of this was, or the motivation for this is love. It says, before him in love. In other words, this is the purpose of his plan, that before the foundation of the world, he chose. Now, keep in mind, this letter is written to believers. Actually, it's written to the Gentile believers. And the reason we're going back over some of these scriptures that I've covered before, because I want to really just build this foundation for you and I to understand better the aspect of what I've referred to as the church being composed of believers that are Jewish believers or Gentile believers that have put their faith and trust in the Messiah, in the Mashiach. As I've stated many times, and I just need to keep saying this because a lot of people still haven't gotten hold of this, and this aspect that the church did not begin until the day in Acts chapter 2, on the day of Shavuot or Pentecost, and it was prophesied by the Mashiach, by the Messiah, in Matthew chapter 16, verse 18, that he would build his church upon the foundation or the revelation of who he was. And those that would recognize who he was, they would be given not only the promise of eternal life and the forgiveness of sins, but they would also receive the promise of the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart Spirit. But the set-apart Spirit had not been given before his death and resurrection. Men were not filled with the Ruach HaKodesh or born again under the aspect of the forgiveness of sins and being formed as a new creature in Yahuah HaMashiach until the Messiah had come and paid the price and penalty for your redemption and my redemption. So when the Mashiach said that he would build his church, indicating the church did not exist at the time that he was speaking. And the reason it hadn't was because he had not died for us yet. He had not paid the price for it. And so the Ruach had not been given. That's why the disciples and the apostles were told by the Mashiach to tarry in Jerusalem in Acts chapter 1, where the Mashiach told them to wait for the promise of the Father until they be endued with power from on high, and then they would be witnesses unto him, both in Judea, Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the earth. And we also know that that salvation was opened up to the Gentiles, meaning the nations outside of Yasharel, to those that would also believe and put their trust in the Messiah. Now, this is what composes of the church today, is those that are whether you're Jewish background, whether you're born a natural Jew or a Gentile, if you have put your faith and trust in the Messiah, in the Mashiach, you recognize who he is, you have received him, and you have received the Spirit, because that's the promise of the Father, then you are, and have been born again of the Ruach HaKodesh, then you are part of the church that the Mashiach made reference to. Now, with that in mind, let's continue reading in these verses here. Now, verse 4 says, "Having predestined us unto the adoption of children." Now, this is something that's very important. Now, what this is saying here is that Yahuah predestined, in other words, he predetermined that in his plan of redemption that we would be predestined to the adoption of children. In other words, we would become his children. You know, and that kind of a relationship, if you can understand this, this is so awesome when you think about that we, as even the Apostle John said in 1 John chapter 3, verse 1, beloved, he said, now are we the sons of Yahuah, and it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. So, all over the book of Romans, it talks about that we are now the children of God. We're waiting for, or the children of Yahuah, excuse me, that we're waiting for the adoption to be complete, the redemption of our body. So, but in the realm of the Ruach, we are now, those that put their faith and trust in the Messiah, we are now children of Yahuah. We're born of the same Ruach. We have been given the Ruach, the set-apart spirit, that unites us with the Father and that makes us one with him. Now, he says here, finishing up verse 5, having predestined us unto the adoption of children by Yahushua HaMashiach. In other words, that was the means in which we were able to become partakers of this adoption as far as into the family of Yahuah. It's by Yahushua HaMashiach to himself. That's why a person has to receive the Mashiach in order to become a child of Yahuah, because that's the only means provided for that to happen. Now, verse 6 says, to the praise of the glory, or to the esteem of his grace, or his favor, wherein he has made us accepted in the beloved. I got good news for you today. If you're born again of the Ruach HaKodesh, then you're accepted in the beloved. In other words, you're already accepted before our Father. Now, you're not accepted based upon your own good works or your actions or your deeds, but you're accepted because you've received the Mashiach, and that he sees you in the realm of the Ruach as being set apart, holy, already, as it said in verse 5, that you're holy or set apart in him without blame. He sees us that way now. Now, you may not do everything perfect. You may have made mistakes since you received the Mashiach. You may have sinned since you received the Mashiach. You may have not followed the things that you know you should be doing. But in the realm of the Ruach HaKodesh, that's Yahuah sees you and I, because he sees us in the realm of the Ruach, in the realm of the Spirit, as that completed work. Now, the adoption will not be complete until the redemption of our bodies, which when this mortal shall have put on immortality. And that's why we're tying this in, because I've been teaching lately on the subject of the rapture and the second coming of the Mashiach. And again, let me say these are two separate events. They're not one and the same. They happen at two different time frames. There's many reasons for this. And if you'll give me enough time, if you'll stay tuned and not just tune me out because you already had some kind of prejudiced type of belief that you've been taught that the church or the believers will go through the tribulation, I'm here to say that that's not an accurate teaching at all. And there's many scriptures that bear this out, and we'll get to all that. But again, we're laying the foundation, because one of the things that confuses a lot of people is not being able to separate and understand who's being talked about in reference to certain scriptures where it looks like that the church or the believers are going through the tribulation. Now, there are going to be tribulation, what I refer to as tribulation saints, and those will be those that become believers after the rapture, after the church has been taken up. These are people that you see in the scriptures where it says, talks about the saints, any kind of reference to the tribulation or the wrath of Yahuah being poured out upon the earth. These are people who have come to know the Mashiach, or come to put their faith and trust and called upon him for salvation, and these are the ones that it's making reference to. We'll stop here right now. We'll continue this on our next session, so please try to stay tuned to listen in. If you're not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to do so. I've noticed lately that a lot of new people have subscribed to the channel, and that's always inspiring to me to see that there's people out there that are hungry and that want to know the truth. And I'm not the only one that has any truth. There's many other people that are teaching and preaching the word of Yahuah, and that you can be fed by and taught by. And I count it a privilege and an honor and a blessing from Yahuah, my Father, to be able to teach and preach His Word. And I thank you for all your support and your encouragement. Yahuah loves you. I love you. Shalom.